Taking care of the elderly has always been a challenge for every family. Many people believe that nursing homes or hiring caregivers are the best solutions, but does this truly bring happiness to our parents and grandparents? Some elderly individuals feel lonely in their own children's homes, while others refuse nursing homes because they do not want to lose their freedom. The world is changing, and the ways of caring for the elderly are also making significant strides. There are increasingly more creative solutions that help the elderly maintain their independence, build support networks, and use technology to lead a better life without being dependent. Today, we will share 3 true stories about elderly individuals who have found their own paths: freedom, happiness, and vitality. If you have ever worried about your own future or that of your parents, don't miss the valuable lessons in this video. Let's start with the first character, Mr. Henry, a 78-year-old man who decided to take care of himself in an unexpected way. After his wife passed away, Mr. Henry's children decided to hire a full-time caregiver to assist him with daily activities. They believed this was the best way to ensure he received proper care. But reality did not meet their expectations. As each day passed, he felt like he was losing his privacy. The caregiver was present at all times, controlling everything from meals to sleep, making him feel like a child rather than an adult. Not to mention, the cost rose to $5,500 a month, but the service did not meet expectations. Awkward conversations, rushed meals, and the emotional distance between Mr. Henry and the caregiver made him increasingly uncomfortable. After 3 months, he made a firm decision to terminate the service and find another way to live. Seeing him living alone, his children became worried and persuaded him to enter a nursing home. Initially, this idea seemed fine, a place with full care services and peers. But after just a month, he realized the truth. The strict regulations made him feel more like a prisoner than someone receiving care. Fixed meal times, regulated sleep hours, everything happened according to an unchangeable schedule. More importantly, he could not do what he wanted, no longer free to stroll whenever he pleased or cook his favorite dishes. So he packed his bags, left the nursing home, and resolved to find another way to live true to himself. He tried alternating living with his children, 1 month at his son's house, 1 month at his daughter's. At first, everyone was happy, but gradually, he sensed the distances growing. Though his children loved him, they had their own lives. He realized he was always a guest in his own family. He had a separate room, but it wasn't his home. He had meals, but not in the style he enjoyed. The feeling of being out of place grew. One day, a friend introduced Mr. Henry to a community for independent seniors, a small group of people his age supporting one another. Gone were the expensive services and rigid rules. This was a system where everyone helped each other with small tasks like shopping, cooking, and taking each other to medical appointments. More importantly, they did it out of friendship, not for money. Everyone had freedom, but there was always someone to lean on when needed. Now, every morning, he wakes up in his own home, makes a cup of coffee, and freely strolls in the park without anyone reminding him. He no longer feels lonely or controlled. Above all, he found something that many seniors are seeking: true freedom in their final years. We always think that the elderly need caregivers, but sometimes what they truly need is independence and a caring community. That's how Mr. Henry found his path to happiness. However, not everyone wants to live alone. Some still need support but do not want to lose control over their lives. That is the story of the next character, Mr. Richard, who has found a way to use technology to balance freedom and safety. At the age of 72, Mr. Richard is still sharp, healthy, and most importantly, he does not want anyone to decide his life for him. When his children suggested that he move in with them for easier care, he immediately declined. Not because he does not love his children, but because he knows that living together will bring about inevitable conflicts. He has witnessed many of his friends struggle when they moved in with their children. Generational differences, inconsistent daily schedules, and even the feeling of becoming a burden. However, living alone is not without its challenges. He knows that aging means increased health risks. A fall in the bathroom, a sudden heart attack, these are things he must consider. So he began to look for solutions and discovered a support system designed specifically for the elderly based on technology. This system is not made up of dull medical devices, but rather an intelligent network that allows him to live freely while having the necessary safety. First, he installed security cameras in his home, directly connected to his children's phones. But unlike a surveillance system, He has control over them. When he needs privacy, he can turn off the cameras. However, if something unusual occurs, the system will automatically send alerts to the family. He also equipped himself with a smart wristband, a compact device that can measure heart rate, detect if he falls, and automatically call for emergency assistance if needed. Additionally, he signed up for a daily meal delivery service from a familiar restaurant. No longer worrying about cooking or having to go out to buy groceries, he can still enjoy quality meals without burdening anyone. Furthermore, an automatic laundry service comes to his home every week, helping him keep everything tidy without much effort. The cost for all these services is $2,500 a month, less than half the cost of hiring a full-time caregiver or entering a nursing home. And most importantly, Mr. Richard remains in control of his life. Once, his son offered to pay for these services so he wouldn't have to worry. But he declined. He did not want to depend on anyone, even his own children. He understands that independence is not only about physical abilities, but also about mentality, and he does not want to lose control of his life just because of his age. Every morning, he wakes up, takes a walk around the neighborhood, stops by his favorite cafe, and enjoys the outdoors without worrying about who will take care of him in case of an incident. Thanks to technology, he maintains the independence he has cherished for so long, while having a safety layer that reassures his children. Not everyone needs to go to a nursing home or have a full-time caregiver. Sometimes, just a little support from technology allows the elderly to continue enjoying life in the way they want. But not everyone is like Mr. Richard. Some elderly individuals feel lonely and yearn for a community environment where they can connect with others in similar circumstances. This is the story of the next character, Mrs. Eleanor, who has found a way to turn a strange place into her real home. When Mrs. Eleanor's husband passed away suddenly, her entire world seemed to crumble. The home that had always been filled with laughter was now just an emptiness. She thought the best way to overcome loneliness was to move in with her son, where there was a daughter-in-law and grandchildren for companionship. In the early days, everything went well. Her son was delighted to have his mother around, and the children were attached to her. But soon, the inconveniences began to appear. The young family's schedule did not suit her. She enjoyed getting up early to prepare a hearty breakfast, while her daughter-in-law was accustomed to a quick lifestyle. Family meals were no longer the cozy times she had imagined. Gradually, she began to feel like just a temporary resident in her own family's home. She still loved her children and grandchildren, but she could not deny the feeling of alienation whenever she realized she did not truly belong there. After 2 months, Mrs. Eleanor decided to leave. This time, she thought she needed a partner to share her life with. A friend introduced her to an older man living alone, and they quickly moved in together. But then, she discovered that this man was not looking for a partner, but rather a housekeeper. Every day, she had to cook, clean, and take care of everything while he just sat and watched TV. She realized she was losing herself, and she would not accept that. Once again, she decided to leave, this time in search of a place that truly belonged to her. At that moment, a friend told her about a senior living community, one that was not a nursing home, but a community of independent, elderly individuals. There, each person had their own apartment, private space, but also shared areas to connect with others. Mrs. Eleanor decided to check it out, and just a week later, she knew this was where she needed to be. Every day, she could freely do what she liked without facing judgment. There were cleaning services to help her keep her home tidy, a communal kitchen where she could meet new friends, and group activities to ensure she no longer felt lonely. Most importantly, she maintained control over her life, no longer dependent on her children or anyone else. The cost for this apartment was $3,800 a month. Not cheap, but she had a smart solution. Instead of worrying about money, she decided to rent out her old house. The rent covered her new life that she loved, and she did not have to rely on her children for a fulfilling life. Now, Mrs. Eleanor no longer felt bound by anyone or anywhere. She had found a new family, not relatives, but companions who shared similar circumstances. A place where she could live freely on her own terms, having both privacy and connection when needed. Life for the elderly does not have to be confined to traditional options like nursing homes or living with children. Many new models are emerging, helping them maintain independence while receiving necessary support without losing dignity. 3 stories, 3 different approaches for the elderly to have a happy and fulfilling life. But they all share one common point: the right to choose. The elderly deserve to have a voice in their lives, and it is time for us to listen to them more. If you agree that our parents and grandparents deserve a better life, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We will continue to bring inspiring stories about how the elderly can enjoy life fully and meaningfully. 2 stories, 2 different paths, but all share one common point: the right to self-determination in one's own life. Mr. Henry refused to go to a nursing home, rejected becoming a burden to his children, and found a way to build a mutually supportive community where he could live independently but not alone. Mr. Richard did not want to lose his freedom but could not ignore health risks, so he utilized technology to create a smart protection network, helping him maintain control over his life without being dependent on his children or caregivers. Meanwhile, Mrs. Eleanor, after several failures in trying to live with family and find a partner, finally found a place truly meant for her, where she could enjoy her old age in peace and connection. These stories demonstrate that there is no one-size-fits-all solution. Not all elderly people want to go to nursing homes, not everyone wants to live with their children, and not everyone accepts being cared for like a child. They want choices, they want freedom, but still need the right support. So what can we do? If you have elderly parents or relatives, don't rush to impose your thoughts on them. Listen. Ask them what they really want. Sometimes, what they need is not a nurse on duty 24/7 or a room in a luxurious nursing home, but simply an independent yet safe life, a community to share with, and respect from loved ones. The world is changing, and the way we care for the elderly needs to change as well. Technology, community, and innovative housing models are opening up new paths, helping the elderly enjoy life more fully. They have cared for us all their lives. Now it is our turn to ensure they can spend their final years the way they desire. What do you think is the best way to care for the elderly while maintaining their independence? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you want to continue exploring inspiring stories about the lives of the elderly, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We will bring more real stories that provide you with new perspectives on creating a dignified old age, not just survival.